What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, the authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. And we have quite a few things to get into today. I'm going to talk about Erik Ten Hag's pundit diet plan, diary. That's what I'm going to talk about, not his diet plan. I don't want to talk about nutrition or what kind of eggs he's eating or any of that nonsense. I want to talk about his quotes from last night on Dutch TV, because I think some of them are very, very interesting. He speaks about Luke Shaw, he speaks about Marcus Rashford, Jack Grealish, Gareth Southgate, Ineos, like everyone. Basically talks about everyone. He's an open book, which I think is, it's really, really refreshing to hear some of the quotes. I definitely want to get into that. I want to do a bit of a England versus Serbia review because we didn't do it last night because I was out watching the game. So I want to talk about that in depth in terms of what worked and what didn't work in my personal opinion. Also want to get your thoughts on the game if you watched it, or just on the games in general yesterday if you're not an England fan anyway, because I appreciate some of you guys aren't. And I want to talk about some transfer news towards the end of the show as well. So if you can smash that like button, it'd be really appreciative of you. I can see Richard, random guy, Brian, all in the chat already. Absolute legends. I hope you are all doing fine and well and dandy on this Monday morning. Same thing for the people in TikTok as well, everyone who's joining. Hope we're all doing very, very well. This is a news show, Manchester United news show. We're going to talk transfers, we're going to talk Ten Hag, we're going to talk about England versus Serbia. So we're covering quite a bit of ground to cover, like the N'Golo Kante of the news world, let's just say. And let's just dive right into it. So, Erik Ten Hag, last night, as I just mentioned, was a pundit on Dutch TV for the England game, spoken about his future, Ineos, the public kind of manager chase, what his thoughts was on that, and then a couple of kind of intricate details about Southgate and individual players and why certain players haven't gone. So, like I said, it's quite detailed, and I want to give my thoughts on kind of each individual situation. So we'll start off with his future, because that was always going to be the question that got put to him on it. If he was going to be a pundit, chances are he was always going to ask him about United. It was just inevitable. And Ten Hag would have known that before coming on. They would have kind of briefed him with, say, look, we're going to discuss this, we're going to discuss that, like blah, 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 etc. So he spoke about his contract, actually, which I thought was interesting. He said, Manchester United and I still have to find an agreement for the new contract. This isn't easily done. We are still going to have to talk about this. Ineos are new into football, so it's normal to take their time and reflect the season. It's no secret that they talked with multiple candidates for the Man United job. In England, it's allowed. That's what he was saying. So obviously sounds like he's not very thrilled about this kind of public manager chase. And neither were fans, to be honest with you. It went on for way too long. And why would you be happy about it? Because it just undermines you as a coach, as a person, as a boss. Even your authorities kind of question that sense. Like, even the players are like, why are they speaking to other managers? Do they not like him? So I think Ineos handled that situation badly, in my opinion. I've always said that. I think a lot of the stuff that Ineos have done has been really good. The people that they've brought in, the principles, the plans, what they're doing with Carrington and everything else around the stadium, everything they're doing has been pretty good so far. It's been a solid 8 out of 10. But I'm not just going to lick arse of Ineos, because I think also that manager situation wasn't handled correctly at all. The fact he says about the contract situation as well, it isn't easily done, would concern me a little bit. And the reason why it would concern me a little bit, and the reason why I think he's saying that as well, is because Ineos initially wanted a coach, right? This is why they were speaking to other candidates. They want a bit of a yes man. They want someone who's just going to focus purely on the coaching and integrating the squad, and being that kind of man manager as well. They want someone like that, yeah? Ten Hag isn't necessarily that person. You know, he's very stubborn, he's very strict on certain principles and rules. But they want a certain specific play style. So it was like, Jason Wilcox is going to set the style. Dan Ashworth and Co are going to they're all going to recruit together for that style. So it means, going forward into the future, despite if a new manager comes in, the vision is still aligned regardless, which I agree with to a certain extent. But what's the point of bringing in or keeping a coach if you know he's very strong on his ideas and his philosophy? What's the point of keeping him if you're going to dictate how he plays anyway? Because that kind of undermines him in a sense. And the fact that he says in England it's allowed as well is obviously like, look, this would never happen in Netherlands. Effectively, that's what he's saying. This would never happen, in our country, because we wouldn't do that. And he speaks about injuries like that in a similar way. They don't publicly speak about what injury a player has, because sometimes another team might target it. And he's probably saying the same thing with the manager. You don't speak about that in the public because everybody knows then, and your authority is undermined, and everyone's starting to question you. So I'm with him on that. I think Ineos handled that. He's not said that, on Dutch TV. He's not said, look, the way they handled it was absolutely shit. But he might as well have said that. You could tell he weren't happy about the situation. But he clearly loves United. There was, I think, Bayern Munich at one point was kind of circling, weren't they, like some German sharks around this Dutch coach. And he stayed loyal to the soil. And he was like, yeah, no, I want to stay here, man. I want to see out this project. So fair play to him in that sense. I think his comments as well about Tuchel. So I'll read it out and then I'll get into that. So Manchester United have told me that they spoke with Tuchel, but they eventually came to the conclusion that they already have the best manager. What do we all think about that? Quite a strong statement, isn't it? If they fully believed that, why would they need to speak to other managers? If they really well and truly thought, you know what, is the best option, why bother speaking to McKenna, De Zerbi? It's just fishy, and it just doesn't seem right. It's like saying to your missus, I absolutely love you, you're a 10 out of 10, there's no one else in this world for me. And then at 3 a.m, you're in the Ritz. I don't even know if the Ritz is open anymore in Manchester, to be honest with you. That's a bad example. 3 a.m, you're in, I don't know, Barca Bar, or I don't even go. That's showing my age. That I don't even go clubbing anymore, so I don't even know what clubs are supposedly hot at the minute. Do you know what I'm saying? No idea. Let me think. What's a good club in Manchester? I don't even know nowadays. I don't know what's decent. Let's just say any club, right? You could be in Vegas, Miami, whatever it is, and you're saying to your missus, look, you're a 10 out of 10. I love you. You're the one I want. And she's like, that's funny, because at 3 a.m. last night in the bar, I saw you talking to fucking Aisha. And then, last week he was like flirting with fucking Becky. So how can I be the best if you speak to... Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can use that analogy in anything. So I never ever believe... I don't believe Ineos with that for 1 second. I think they've spoken to other candidates, and whether it's a financial decision, whether it's like Rashford going to the Belfast club, says Dave. Yeah, spot on, mate. Spot on. Someone saying Trent was great in the midfield there. I'm not having that. I'm going to get into it in a moment. I'm going to speak about England versus Serbia because I really want to dive into the specifics of that and the way Southgate set up and the way individual players were. But just sticking with Ineos at the moment, could you imagine if right now it would never happen, because obviously Tiki Bergstein and everyone at City love Pep, so we never would. But could you imagine if they just in case Pep was going to leave the season, let's say he didn't publicly announce it, they was like, oh, we're just going to speak to, I know you're going to stay another year, but we're going to speak to, just in case they want to come in this season, and you can leave it a year early, be like, what are you talking about? I think, I've always been in the opinion, I think currently, right now, I think he's the best fit for me. But also what sticks in my mind is I can't forget about Southgate and Ineos. There is a lot of people, and this is absolute facts, that they like Gareth Southgate. A couple of people at Ineos and a couple of people who have involved in this takeover with Ineos like him. And I can't help but think, had the Euros not been this summer, we might well have Gareth Southgate in charge. We definitely would have spoken to him, and I think he would have taken the job. If it would have, let's say the Euros was last year, whatever happened. Let's say they went out in the semi-finals, which is probably going to happen again this year. I think we would have definitely been in deep conversations with him, and Ineos would have brought him in. Now, that is interesting because everyone has this kind of vision and thoughts that Ineos are the next, coming of Christ, and they're going to take United back to glory, and they're going to absolutely smash it. I have my reservations simply because I saw what went on at Nice, first and foremost. That was absolute carnage, especially for the first couple of years. They went through like 6 different managers. And there was a big shit show at the top. The recruitment was questionable. They was bringing like Aaron Ramsey in and other players, like old English players in that sense. So some of the policies were questionable, and the way it was being run was pretty questionable as well. So naturally, I have my reservations about Ineos. I don't think, like I said, they're going to be the next coming of Christ. I think it's going to take a bit of time. I think we're going to be a little bit shocked, like anyone who comes to Manchester United and finds out actually how big of a club it is and how big it is to deal with and the spotlight that's on you. They would have definitely known that from the past couple of months at least with all the stuff that was going on with the manager. The spotlight was absolutely huge. So, yeah, still question marks for me. I'm not absolutely sold on Ineos. I don't think they're going to be, like I said, amazing. But we have to see. You have to take it step by step. You can't make huge, significant changes within, months. It takes years to really start seeing the effects. So you can start getting rid of certain people, start really, really drilling in your philosophy into the club and changing this culture that's at United that's been there for a long, long time. So, yeah. The jury's still out on Ineos at the moment, and it will be for a good few months. It will be. I'll talk about England in a moment, don't worry. I will get onto that, I promise you. But yeah, on the Euros, whilst we're on the topic of it, Ten Hag got asked about Grealish and Marcus Rashford, actually. He said, Grealish and Rashford were both lacking this season, and when you are lacking, you risked not getting picked for your country. Now, I don't know about you guys, I was a little bit surprised that one or the other didn't go. Like, Grealish, what he offers you coming off the bench, if you need, someone to retain the ball, if you need a set piece in a dangerous area, if you need a bit of a foul at times just to stop the play, like, he's that guy in it. Even if it's 10, 15 minutes, he is that guy. You can bring him on, he'll be a nuisance, and he'll cause problems. So that was one of the reasons why I would consider him. I obviously think he's a decent player as well. Marcus Rashford with the pacing behind, his experience. I know he's not had the best form this season. I understand that. But sometimes form doesn't replicate with your international team. You saw Maguire, the season before this one, was pretty poor. Had a pretty shit season, but he was phenomenal for England. In some of his bad season under Ole, the second one, he was like player of the tournament in the Euros. So it doesn't always replicate in internationals. I understand why Southgate's gone with more form-driven players. I don't even understand why he's taken Anthony Gordon. I said that right. But I do think sometimes you're missing that kind of that impetus just off the bench. Do you know what I'm saying? The subs last night, I was like, well, Gallagher, I kind of understood. I'm happy Mainu got his first official debut in a tournament. But yeah, I'll dive into the actual England review in a moment. I do really want to talk about that. There's a couple more quotes about Luke Shaw as well. Luke Shaw will start playing once England get out the group stages. That's coming from the coach's mouth, and I'm pretty sure he'll probably be very aware of that and probably would have spoken to Gareth about that as well. First and foremost, I really don't like Trippier on the left-hand side. I think Foden becomes isolated. There's no overlapping runs. He can't put crosses into the box because he's not left-footed. And we need Luke Shaw back in that team as soon as possible because it is much more balanced. And the funny thing is, I'm seeing the same pundits talking about how Gareth Southgate is hindered and he's got a great result considering it was Gay's first start and Trippier was at left back. Absolutely praising him. But when Erik Ten Hag had an unfit Johnny Evans at centre back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka at left back, who's much less progressive than Trippier is, Casemiro at centre back, and then Dalot at right back, they absolutely murder him. The same people, the exact same pundits. Oh, Southgate's done well there with Trippier at left back and Gay at centre back there for a phenomenal job and blah blah blah. Hold on a minute. Ten Hag's had this fucking backwards back four for almost a year, but he doesn't get no sympathy with that or whatever. Like the standards with the England manager is much different, let me tell you. And he speaks about the England manager as well. He says, it's the vision of the manager, Southgate. England will take a 1-0 lead, and then Southgate, decides to start gambling with making his team compact and relying on moments for the remaining minutes of the game. And anyone who's watched England closely, Croatia, 2018, Trippier scores the free kick. That exact same thing that Ten Hag's mentioned in there happens. In the final, Italy go 1-0 up in the Euros. What happens? The exact same thing. Pragmatism or stupidity? Stupidity, in my opinion. With the players that you have, Bellingham, Foden, Kane, Saka, Rice, you should be stepping on people's necks with them kind of players. You should be putting 2, 3, 4, 5 past Serbia and putting a statement out in the tournament and sending, absolute shockwaves through the groups. And they're like, oh shit. So the next team that plays are like, oh, maybe we do need to be a little bit more defensive. make them worry, make them sit back. You know, the best form of defence is attack in that sense. And I think a lot of coaches will tell you that. With international tournaments, I understand it a bit of pragmatism, depending on what you've got in front of you. We've got some of the most talented players in the world. And I'm not talking about one player. I'm talking like 3, 4, 5, world-class players. World-class players. Like Jude Bellingham got Player of the Year in La Liga, won the Champions League, won the league. Probably a very strong Ballon d'Or contender, especially if he wins the Euros. Phil Foden, Player of the Premier League, best league in the world. Harry Kane, most goal involvements in Europe. Bukayo Saka's one of the best wingers. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you should be stepping on their neck. In my opinion, you should. And here's a stat, right? Let me tell you the stat, and then I'll get into the comments, I promise you. There were just 11 shots between Serbia and England tonight, the lowest of any game at the Euros on record since 1980. Since 1980, 11 shots. Serbia had 6, England had 5. I think that also tells you everything you need to know as well. Right, I'll get on to England review in a moment. Let me read some comments out. Make sure you do smash that like button for us and hit that subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. We are currently on, let me have a look, 5,531 subs. So if you aren't subscribed yet, what are you doing? TikTok, I'll get into it in a moment. Gotta say, I love the mentality from Ten Hag in terms of his reaction to them talking to Tuchel, and they realised they have the best. Perfect, and he was right. Yes, Brian. Random guy saying Ten Hag might be the one to take us back to the top. Personality, tactics, and once United back there as well. The Hacienda. Yeah, that was a long, long time ago. That was before my time, Richard. Probably your time. No offence. Ed Barrett saying the realisation that he cares more about the club than many in the squad convinced me that he should be staying. I also love that as well. Sam saying City will have done, but nobody cares because it's City. Every club does it more, but scrutiny and leaks because it's United. Yeah. I don't know who made the comment about Arnold being good last night because they must be watching a different match from me. I'm going to talk about Trent. I'm probably sure. That's going to be my next thing. Said in some of my group chats yesterday, on paper, this England team should be winning this tournament, but Southgate won't allow that to happen. What we said in TikTok as well, there's quite a few comments. I'm so disappointed, no Grealish, says Santos. George saying, never said he was shit. He should be nowhere near the middle of the park. Trent was great, unfortunately made one mistake and pulled 2 big chances created. I don't know what game you're watching. Love your content, well done, thank you very much. Drop us a follow if you can on TikTok. Cesc giving him praise, but George said he's shit, so I guess you're spot on, mate. Look at the difference when Gallagher came on for Trent. Worlds apart. Trent should be nowhere near this team. Right, so a lot of people getting into Trent. Right, we'll get into that. So, I think the game in general, just to give my overall opinion, if anyone who gives a shit, not an amazing game by any stretch of the imagination, but if you ask any coach beforehand, would you take 3 points and a clean sheet in your opening game? Absolutely, they'd bite your hand off for it. Go and ask the Danish coach. Go and ask the Slovenian coach, because they both obviously dropped points yesterday, which was much better for us. You take the 3 points, you go top of the group. Good start. In that regard, just pure, like, points-wise, clean sheet, confidence for everyone. Perfect. In terms of individuals, I personally thought, again, some of them debatable. Not the ones I'm going to mention now, but some of the players in the team are debatable in terms of who had a good game. But I thought Bellingham stood out. Loved his bite, his energy, all over the pitch. He was absolutely everywhere. He was crucial in moments. Obviously got the goal as well. The only goal of the game to win, is it? I thought he was phenomenal. I was arguing with a mate yesterday, right? And this was kind of the debate that we was having. And he was telling me that Foden was better than Bellingham. And I was like, no, he's not. No, he's not. Bellingham is the complete package. The complete package. He's got absolutely everything. Foden's phenomenal for City in their system. One of the best players. Absolutely agree with that. You could put Bellingham everywhere, and he's absolutely incredible. And there's a reason why he plays in the 10. He's England's best player, in my opinion. City fans will argue it. I understand it. Whatever it is you want to say. He is. He's England's best player, and he's a future captain. Thought he was good yesterday. Thought Saka was really good on that right-hand side. Shows why he's picked there consistently, especially with his work rate off the ball. Second half, didn't get much change out of it. Is it Pavlovic, the left back? Struggled a little bit in that sense, but the first half he had him on toast, and I thought his first touch, his strength on the ball, his dribbling, his passing was really, really good as well. Thought Declan Rice and Gueye, considering it was Gueye's first start, in an international tournament, I thought he looked pretty comfortable, and the majority had a pretty good game. First half in general was good. Second half completely fell off, and Serbia were mauling us to a certain extent. We still had chances, but Harry Kane hit the bar, didn't he? A great save from the keeper, but Serbia were putting pressure on us. They had some decent chances themselves. And considering Serbia, I don't think Serbia had played England since they become an independent country. I'm sure I read that stat somewhere. So yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job with the players at their disposal. Look, they still got some talent. Vlahovic looked dangerous. Mitrovic at times. Milinkovic-Savic was decent on the ball. And then some of the other ones who I'd never really seen before, like Pavlovic, who I mentioned, was having a fucking world of a time. Some of the midfielders, Lukic as well. Yeah, I thought they looked... I think they're going to cause some problems for the other teams, like Denmark. Slovenia, did he play next, I think? And that'd be a good game as well, because Slovenia looked all right against Denmark. They probably could have won that game. So it's an open group in that sense. Anyone could finish second. You'd expect us to finish first, of course. But now, Trent. Let's talk about Trent, people, because it seems to be a bit of a split of opinion, like whether he had a good game or a bad game. I personally thought the Trent experiment didn't work. Did not work. 0 out of 3 crosses. 4 out of 6 long balls. Okay. 0 out of 2 dribbles. Never beat a man. 2 out of 5 ground duels. 1 error leading to a shot. Lost possession 12 times in the midfield. If you want to call that a good cameo, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think it worked for me personally. Look, it's all about perspective. We won 1-0. We kept a clean sheet. Bing, bang, bosh. You've won your first game. Fantastic. But I don't think that Trent experiment worked. And for the next game against Denmark, we played Denmark next, right? I would look at assessing that midfield, because arguably have Denmark got a more constructive midfield, a better, probably Hjumlund, Højbjerg, Eriksen. It's a pretty good midfield. I think you need to have your wits about you. And obviously, a couple of them, Eriksen and Højbjerg, both know the midfielders, Trent and Rice. They know them very well. Not to say they're better, but they obviously know their game, is my point I'm making. So I wouldn't personally play him there again, whether Southgate tweaks it or not. I'm not just saying that because I'm a United fan. I'd play Mainu there. I don't know. I don't know if I'd start Gallagher, to be honest with you. I don't know. I probably would start Mainu. Fuck it. I would start Mainu, and that's not even bias. I just think it's more balanced for me, personally, from what I've seen from Mainu. But again, Liverpool fans will be absolutely adamant that he should be starting. Also, I don't know what you do with Foden. I think there's a huge Phil Foden problem in this team. And I remember Fabregas and Mika Richards discussing it last night, and they were saying sometimes the players got to step up and take the ball and kind of feather like Peacock, like Bellingham does. But Bellingham's more central. He can get on it much more. Foden's out wide. He's away from the ball. I don't know. It's weird with Phil Foden. I don't know what it is. Because you can't take Saka on the right-hand side. Because cutting in for City is pretty good. He scores bangers. You look at, he's significantly overperformed his XG for Man City in that sense. But you can't take Saka off there. You can't take Saka off that right-hand side. You can't move Bellingham. I don't know what you do. Really don't know what you do. It's like the old golden boot, golden era shoehorning thing again, isn't it? Like you're putting Scholes out on the left. I don't know. I agree, Moles is saying Foden doesn't look the same player for England than he does for City. Can we not just be happy with the win? I've just said that. I'm happy. I've just said clean sheet, 3 points, happy days. But you can still talk and criticise certain specifics in the game. You don't have to be happy. Oh, we've won, buzzing. There's nothing to discuss. No, it don't work like that. Football don't work like that. There are specifics and tweaks that he needs to make. Ed Barrett saying Omar Barada has to steady the ship. If he comes in and the foolishness continues, it will be soul destroying. Richard saying, I don't know who made the comment about Arnold being good last night because it must. Oh, sorry, I already read that. Erik ten Hag's in charge. He was selected, but results matter. He needs to deliver next season. No more excuses. Maybe him playing hardball will hurt him in the future. My Damned United says, hi all. Hi Nick. Busy at work, but saying hi before back. Just listening in. Hope everyone is good. Hello, My Damned United. Hope you well, mate. I hope you well. Be a lot better with Eze there instead of Foden. Yeah, that's why I'm saying if there's going to be 2 tweaks, we're talking about, right, if you want to be cutthroat and get the best balance out of your team, can you take Foden out of the team and put a Gordon there or a Eze there to offer a more kind of dynamic 1v1, more width? I also thought Foden was hindered, don't forget, as well, because you've got Kieran Trippier at left back. So he becomes isolated in that sense because there's no one. It's the same situation what happened with Rashford and what happened with Garnacho when he was out there for Man United. They've got no one overlapping. So it gets to the byline, you know. If it's at City, you've got Gvardiol or Walker or whoever it is bombing on, offering space, and there's rotation as well. There weren't much rotation on the left-hand side because, like I said, Trippier at left back. So that hinders him as well. So I don't know. I don't feel Foden's working at the minute, but he's a fucking amazing talent. So I don't know how you. It is a headache. It is a massive headache. If Trent dropped, I don't think England make it to the semis. I mean, they don't have that much of an importance. Maybe with Bellingham. Foden did all right. He just can't play his natural position in that team. I just didn't think I seen Foden with so many loose passes and touches. He didn't look himself, and that's probably because he's frustrated. He's frustrated that he can't impact the game the way he wants to. He knows people will probably be talking about it, and he knows in his head that he probably don't perform as well for England as he does for City. I mean, he's got like 3 goals in 35 appearances for England, I think. Yeah, it's a huge problem, and I don't know. I don't know what tactical setup you can do to fit him in. I don't think there is one that you can do to fit them both in. People will talk about, play Rice as a sit-in and then Foden and Bellingham in the midfield. I think that's way too unbalanced for me personally. And I think when you come up against the bigger teams, I think you'll get found out. So, I don't know how you handle it. I think he's going to keep playing him on the left. Eventually, maybe he'll get taken out. I don't know. It is a really hard. If I was Southgate now, I'd be like, I don't have it, and that's why I'm not a manager because I don't have a clue what you do with that. The drop of quality from Trent to Mainu or Gallagher is too big of a drop. They don't provide too much. Palmer can take Foden's spot on the left hand side, though. Do you think? I don't know. I would go for a more pure winger, in my opinion. I'd go for more maybe an Anthony Gordon or an Eze. I would start there. Foden's always drifting centrally, wants to link up. I want someone who's going to stay out wide, isolate the wing back, have a run at him. You know, sort of great dribbler, good pace about him. I'm not saying Foden isn't a great dribbler, by the way. Of course, he's incredible in that sense. But I just think they're more of a pure winger. So the 2 changes I would make, and people are going to absolutely grill me for this, but I just think the team will be more balanced. Bring Mainu into the midfield for Trent and either push Gordon or Eze out on the left-hand side. That's what I'd do. And see how we do. See how we do against Denmark. If you need to bring, and then you look at your bench, you've got Palmer, Foden, Watkins, Tony, Trent off the bench. If you need to take Bellingham off, if he's a bit tired, fucking Foden, whack him on. Saka's a bit tired, put Palmer on the right-hand side. Kane, you're not getting much out of Kane, still doesn't look up to scratch, bring Ivan Toney on. If Gordon ain't doing the trick, bring Eze on. That's what I would do, personally. But yeah, I think, Southgate's got a huge decision to make there, in my opinion. In the Avengers, Thanos is the destroyer of planets. In football, Southgate is the destroyer of teams, says Richard. Brian saying Trent Alexander isn't even England's best right back. Shouldn't be anywhere near that team if England want to win the Euros. Cole Palmer needs to have a run at some stage. I agree. With the season that Palmer's had and the confidence that he has, I agree with that. Even if Foden goes to a 10, he won't perform for England. He needs City's system. I think that's a fair point. None of the attackers other than Saka had pace, so Trent wasn't able to play his passes. But with Trent, what you expect from him, at least in Liverpool's system, right, they have a very rotational system as well. Especially when Henderson was there, you would have Henderson filling in for Trent when he's at right back. He would push forward, and then you would have like a triangle almost. So you'd have Salah who would either push forward or he'd drift centrally, dragging a man in, and then Trent would have that kind of free rein then to put a cross into the box. That's what I was expecting to see more. The ball's in for Harry Kane. But like I said, 0 out of 3 crosses. Didn't execute any of them. And maybe it was because of how deep Serbia were playing, how compact they was. They were, they're quite big lads as well. So putting balls into the box is, a bit underwhelming in that. A bit harder to do. I want to say harder to execute in that sense. Off corners, I think we had a free kick at one point. I was like, oh, okay, maybe we can see something there. Hits the wall. I don't know. I just don't think it worked. I think he played some nice passes and they came off. Also, what you had to say as well is it's his first proper game in a tournament. Like, I know he's had bits even there, but it's like first proper start in midfield. That I will give him. Maybe, start the next one, get a bit of rhythm, get used to people around you, used to the system, and then he might start flourishing. But big decisions to be made. And of course, we've got 3 more games today. We've got Ukraine, Romania at 2, which probably 2 people are going to be watching. I know we've got Austria and France at 8 o'clock. What's the 5 o'clock game? Let me have a look. Oh, my phone's there. Let's have a look. No one tell me, because I wanna 5 o'clock game. Who is it? Belgium. Belgium versus... I don't know who they're playing. I know it's Belgium. Slovakia, is it? Yeah, Belgium versus Slovakia. So I'll watch that. I think Belgium are going to be a bit underwhelming. I think they're going to be a bit shit. Yeah, they've got good players, but they've never really done it, have they? He's not a centre mid, end of really. He's not a midfielder, and you can tell. There we go. I think the majority of people in the chat are pretty spot on. Just say before I head off, if you can hit that subscribe button, we really, really appreciative. We dropped the video last night on João Neves, the perfect blend and the perfect midfielders come in alongside Bruno Fernandes and Kobe Mainoo. So obviously, if you're a United fan, make sure you check that video out, get in the comments and let us know your thoughts on it. We'll be live again at 7 o'clock tonight with all the latest news, more Manchester United focused. Obviously, an hour before the France game because we know people want to watch that, so we'll be live. So please do come and join us as well. And if you're on TikTok, click the link in the description. Check Real Reds Talk out on YouTube. If you like football content, especially with the Euros ongoing at the moment as well, and transfer news and rumours and all that kind of stuff, check us out. Or just drop us a follow on TikTok and check out the page as well. All the social, if you're on YouTube, all the socials are at the top. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We're growing and growing and growing and growing, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's thanks to all you guys. So yeah, really, really appreciate that. Hope you've enjoyed this afternoon news show. My name is Nick, and I will see you guys in the next one. Legends.